Human beings, the apex predators, killing everything in our way and for our own selfish and personal gain, so that only we benefit. Some will say it is a necessity for our survival, and maybe to a small degree it is. But do we really need to destroy everything in our way for survival? We worship an invisible God, and yet we destroy the visible nature, unaware that this nature we are destroying is this God we so claim to worship. Is it not our responsibility to protect this nature and all the creatures on our beautiful planet? Are we that ignorant that we do not realize the consequences of this destruction? To talk about this and more, I am joined by Ramona. I'm your host, Rahil, and this is The Real Talk. Hi, everyone, and welcome to The Real Talk. Today I'm joined by Ramona. Hi, Ramona, how are you doing? And welcome to The Real Talk.
Hi, Rail. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure for me to be here.
Of course, it's a pleasure to have you on. And today, as I said in my introduction, we'll be talking about the protection and conservation of wildlife. So, like we do in most of our talks, start from the beginning. So, Ramona, where did your love and passion to protect animals begin from?
I grew up a part of my childhood in the countryside with my grandmother in Romania. It was a life of freedom.
Yeah.
I helped her to take care of all animals of the farm. I still remember my grandmother. She was quite mad when she discovered in the evening that I was hiding a goat, chicks, or piglet in my bed. I
Yeah.
wanted to be sure they weren't cold in the barn and they were protected. I've always been sensitive to the smallest little life on earth and from a very young age.
And are you hiding any animals right now in your bed?
not today because my dog takes so much space in the bed. No,
Yeah.
more seriously. Not today. I sleep with heavy heart and much soul searching because I'm really affected by the climate change, by the degradation of the wildlife. We are in the
Yeah.
midst of an ecological crisis. The numbers do not lie. Wildlife is disappearing and on the verge of extinction before our eyes. I really feel powerless.
Well, you mentioned, and yes, we are approaching what's called the sixth mass extinction. And still, in my opinion, not as many people are concerned. And unfortunately, our way of life is not the main cause, but one of the main causes. And I think we're not taking enough action and ignoring it as though all life is not connected or important.
The most obvious reason is that we live in a consumer society.
Yeah.
We consume more and more, and often just out of gluttony. And all this without asking ourselves the right question: where does this product come from? What impact does it have on the planet? Human impact, animal impact? I think the way we consume is not, and the way we live precisely, is not sustainable. We never stop creating new needs for ourselves. We are always looking for happiness in a new phone, new clothes, an ephemeral happiness that will end up somewhere in the ocean. But that's another
Yeah.
problem of our society, the overconsumption, the pollution. And we have become so dependent on technology that we have lost all the connection with the nature and all the rest of the living surround us. And the nature is real, technology is not. I don't blame technology. We just maybe use it more properly. And
Yeah.
if we can manage to combine technology with the nature and all its properties, that's what's called evolution.
Completely agree. And you mentioned about technology and connection. And for a connected world, we've never been so disconnected. I think it is time for us to review the way we consume food, products, clothes, everything. I think the best way is to move forward, and the most ecological way of consumption will be through local products or fair trade. But we can talk about that in more detail in another talk. Let's go back to the wildlife and the reasons for its decline. And you personally, what affects you when you think
Oh,
about where our world is going with the wildlife uh,
Chris,
extinction? Sorry. Yeah.
Precisely, the way we consume has a huge impact on the wildlife and on the fauna. Today, we are depleting all the natural resources. We are building forests, emptying ocean. That's a huge impact on the environment and also on us. And when I heard about that, more, should I say, when I was ready to listen about the danger of extinction of many species, I decided to go and to see by myself. So I started my first experience in eco volunteering.
Okay.
Such a great experience, which has made me grow and allowed me to have another look on the current state of wildlife.
Okay, well, that's good. And we will talk about your experiences. But before we get into it, I just want to explain to the viewers who might not be aware of what eco volunteering means. So basically, it refers to any voluntary action with the aim of preserving the environment, protecting the species, and natural habitats. So it's like a combination of a vacation and an ecological footprint. And now there is an immersion of this new culture where you meet people from different backgrounds, cultures, and you share these experiences, learn from each other. It's basically a combination of learning and relaxing while making a difference. So, in an eco volunteering program, you have a lot of free time for visiting, exploring a region, relaxing, and the biggest part of it is actually volunteering in wildlife protection. So, now that I've explained it, what eco volunteering experiences have you had that you can share with us today?
Yes, of course. My first experience was in Laos in an elephant sanctuary. They are involved in
Mm,
various environmental programs. They save Asian elephants from woodworking, tourism abuse, and other bad treatments.
okay.
And at the center, the elephants are cared and prepared to be released into the wild. It's a long process, and there's a lot of work because elephants need to be able to eat by their own. And as volunteer, we did a lot of enrichment and behavior
Okay.
observation. I cannot explain the feelings I had when I go through the jungle just beside these magnificent creatures. You just, wow, I learned a lot about elephants.
Yeah.
And my second experience was in South of Africa in an orphanage for rhino. It
Mm-hmm.
was a physical work for cleaning boxes. I think you know what I mean.
Yes.
You
Yes.
had the same experience, and but it's nothing compared at the touching moments at the milk bottle, and it hurts, to see all these orphans having lost their mom just for 1 or 2 kilos of horn. But it's also comforting to see that there are people who give their time to care these babies and just to try to protect the species.
No,
And
definitely.
I also had the chance to go with a friend in an expedition to the Norwegian Sea, where I was in total immersion with the giant of ocean,
Mm.
orcas and whales, an unforgettable experience that reminds us as small we are. And my last experience was in Costa Rica in a rehabilitation center for sloths, monkeys,
Okay.
coatis, raccoons, and other exotic species. And I shared this experience with one of my best friends. And after 1 week of work at the center, we just enjoy few days of travel around the country, and we also were really surprised to see how respectful people are towards nature and the animals and all the measures that government has put in place to protect the fauna. So I advise to go there.
And sorry to cut you. In Costa Rica, why do they have rehabilitation centers there?
Oh, because the most of them have been injured by road accident or electric fence, or this is several reasons why. And also, people love so much animals there that they want to domesticate them. So this is not allowed. But
Yeah.
anyway, they try to.
Well, that's great. You've had so many experiences all over the world. I myself I've had one. Well, I would like to have more with, like you mentioned, with the rhinos in CFW. And all the organizations that you've mentioned, and we'll put in the links if anyone wants to check it out and further, you know, take part in this eco volunteering programs that are so good. So now you've mentioned so many animals and you've been around a few countries. Which animals have fascinated you the most?
All of
It's a
them,
tough
really.
question, I know, but just to get an idea of where the help is needed, where the focus is needed.
All of them, but I'm particularly affected by the endangered species like elephants and rhinos.
Yeah. And what in particular are you fascinated by these two amazing giants?
As you say, they are amazing and giants. Now, but let's start with elephants, the largest land mammals on Earth. They are highly sensitive, highly intelligent, with complex group structure. Their population was estimated in 20 millions on the African continent before the European colonization, a figure which fell at 1.3 and in 1979.
Wow.
Then the decline just accelerated, and the main threat
Yeah.
to these giants are habitat loss, human conflict due to agriculture development, and also poaching. An average an elephant is killed for its ivory on the African continent every 15 minutes.
That's
So
insane.
I cannot,
Yeah.
you know, I cannot concede that our generation will make them disappear, really.
Yeah.
And the rhino is not an animal you hear so much about, but despite of what people believe, they are really smart, curious, intelligent.
Yep.
Their population has been reduced by 96%
Wow.
uh, in the past 15 years. It's a lot.
That's a
The
lot.
main
Yeah.
threat to rhino is poaching. The poachers
Yeah.
just take off the horn from the animals and just leave him to die in awful condition. Sometimes they also kill the baby. And in the recent year, horn became more expensive than gold. Many used for decoration and for in Asian medicine.
Yeah, I mean the numbers you've mentioned are astonishing, and the viewers can see the pictures, and they are very unbearable. But this is reality, and this is the truth of what's going on in a lot of African countries with, like you mentioned, poaching. So, Ramona, during your travel, like what did you learn about the alert state of endangered species, especially in South Africa?
How much wildlife has been weakened by the hand of man. Animals
Mm,
lose their territory a little more every day due to deforestation, due to intensive livestock farming, and there is also the ethical problem of hunting. You know, our
yeah,
ancestors hunted to eat, today we just kill for fun and for money. What evolution for the human being?
yep. I mean, I couldn't agree more. And so, do you get involved in safeguarding projects outside of eco volunteering?
I support few organizations, but I'm working to start my own project.
That's great to hear. And do you want to share a little bit more about your project?
Course. Okay. Before traveling, I had in mind that I would I would meet a certain type of person with a certain age, having the same background, the same
Mm,
ideology, but I was wrong. During my travel, I met so different people from different culture, different backgrounds. I met young people, students, retire, and also family with young kids living
yeah,
their best experience they have had so far. And I realized that we have one thing in common is the wish to make a difference and to get involved to do something more meaningful and to be involved in changing things. You know, when you are a volunteer, you get the chance to have a privileged contact with animals, with all the respect, of course.
yeah, yeah,
And so I would like to give people the opportunity to travel in another way, and also
yeah,
to raise awareness about the crucial role that every species have on the ecosystem. And I also believe that every human being has a role to play on Earth, and we all need to work together to protect our planet.
Yeah.
So this is why I'm working on a project which combine my experiences on the field and also sustainable travel.
Yeah.
And the last but not least, to do something concrete about wildlife and to help organization to hire more rangers, wildlife guardians to protect the fauna.
Mm-hmm.
So we are still on the early stage of the project. So, to do great things, it takes time sometimes, but I would love to come back and to discuss more
Of
about
course, and
finalize.
hopefully that will be very soon, and I'm sure that you will do well in this project. Sounds amazing. And as you were talking, I was thinking about the one of the biggest issues in our society is the education. And when I talk about education and culture, it doesn't mean education that you didn't go to school. Education or university, it's a continuous process throughout your life. I think everyone should be being educated continuously throughout the life. That's what I mean. And not just schooling. Like the famous Greek philosopher Pythagoras said, educate the children and it wouldn't be necessary to punish the man. And I think that's a very strong statement or saying, because at the end of the day, we human beings are the most intellectual species, or we believe so. And if we are the most intellectual, it's our duty and responsibility to protect all the other animals or creatures on this planet. And in order to do that and to change the way we have been operating, we need to educate the next generations about the importance of nature, of wildlife. And if we do not take action now, which involves educating the future generations, well, unfortunately, there won't be any future left. So education will definitely, I'm sure, will play a fundamental part of your program or any other programs that are out there. I think it always plays a very, very important or fundamental part of it. But I do wish you all the best and good luck with your project. I know it's going to be a long and challenging battle, but anything that's worthwhile is. And to accomplish anything in life, it does come with challenges if we want to make a change, and we have to take this challenge head on. So, all the best to you, and I'm sure you will do really, really well.
The most difficult will be to raise awareness to get people on board.
Yeah.
Today, there's a considerable loss of biodiversity as the law of economy opposes the law of nature. But we should rethink our system, use resources wisely, and live in harmony with all the living around us. And if you care enough for the living, if you want to do something meaningful, get out of comfort zone and try to understand what's going on around you. There is so many people and so many animals in need that, and if you want to do something that inspire you, your action will have like a domino effect and will push people to do the same around you, because I think we can all be a change maker.
Completely agree, and I don't think I can end it in a better way. So thank you, Ramona, so much for coming on. And if there's anyone watching who wants to get involved with the project or to come on and have their say on wildlife conservation and share your experiences, like we said, we want to connect people through these talks, and hopefully, Ramona, you can get some people approaching you to help you with this amazing project that you want to start. And yeah, wishing you all the best. And thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you very much for everything, Rail.
Thank you, viewers, for staying tuned. And yeah, please like, share, subscribe. And if you have any comments, leave it in the description. If you want to come on the channel, talk about wildlife or something else, then please get in touch with us. We are on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. All our information is in the description. So check it out. So until next time, goodbye and take care. Bye bye.